Hi friends, I am Amnish. Today I am discuss about the doctrine of the separation of power, which was propounded by the Montesquieu, 1689 to 1755. He was French Enlightenment political philosopher and social commentator. The doctrine of the separation of the power requires that the principal institution of states, executive, legislature, and judiciary, should be clearly divided in order to safeguard citizen liberty and guard against tyranny. One of the earliest and the clearest statement of the separation of the power was given by the French social commentator and philosopher thinker Montesquieu in 1748. When the legislature and executive power are united in the same person or in the same body of magistrate, there can be no liberty, there is no liberty if the power of judging is not separate from the legislature and executive. There would be an end to everything if the same man or the same body were to exercise those three powers. According to a strict interpretation of the separation of power, none of the three branches may exercise the power of the others. Now, constitutional provision regarding the separation of power. The Constitution of India provides for the parliamentary form of government which lacks a strict separation between the executive and the legislature but maintain clear separation between them and the judiciary. As noted above, it especially directed the state to separate the judiciary from the executive under the Article 50 of the Indian Constitution. The Supreme Court has applied this direction to support separation between the judiciary and the other two branches of the state at all levels from the lowest court to the Supreme Court. The Constitution provides for a federal structure of the government consisting of the union and the states. While they have separated legislature and executive, they don't have a separate judiciary. The judiciary has a single pyramidal structure with the lower or subordinate court at the bottom, the high courts in the middle, and the Supreme Court of the India at the top. For funding and some administrative purpose, the subordinate court are subject to regulation by the respective states, but they are basically under the provision of the High Court. The High Court are basically under the regulative power of the Union, subject to some involvement of the state in the appointment of judge and other staff, and in the finance. The Supreme Court is exclusively under the regulative power of the Union, subject to territorial limitation. All courts are competent to entertain and decide dispute both under the Union and the state laws.